It was a pretty ordinary Friday night for me. I lived alone in a small, single-story home out in the suburbs, though I worked in the city about an hour away. The week had felt long and exhausting, so when I finally got home that evening, all I wanted was to relax and do absolutely nothing. My plan was simple: watch some YouTube, play a few games, maybe have a drink or two, and just enjoy a quiet night. After getting back, I jumped in the shower, threw on some comfortable clothes and turned on my PlayStation. The glow from the screen filled my small living room as I got lost in the game for hours, laughing to myself and sipping on a couple of beers. Everything felt calm, easy. At some point, I started to crave something to eat. Pizza sounded perfect. I opened up the app for a local pizza place I liked and placed my order. Then I settled back on the couch, turned on some YouTube videos on the TV, and waited for the delivery to arrive. About 45 minutes passed, and that's when I realized something felt off. Usually, deliveries came faster. I hadn't gotten any texts or notifications that my pizza was on the way. I unlocked my phone and checked the app, and it showed a message saying there was a delay. It was generic, something like, "Sorry for the delay. Your order will be on the way soon." I didn't think much of it. Maybe they were busy or short-staffed. I shrugged and went back to watching videos. But the longer I sat there, the heavier my eyes started to feel. The room was dim, and the quiet hum of my TV made it even harder to stay awake. Before I knew it, I drifted off right there on the couch. The sound of the doorbell suddenly jolted me awake. It wasn't just one ring, it was a few quick ones in a row. I jumped up, still half asleep, and instantly thought, that must be the pizza delivery. I had no idea how long I'd been out, or how long the guy had been waiting. I stumbled toward the front door, feeling sluggish from sleep and the couple of beers I'd had earlier. When I opened the door, a man was standing on my porch. His face was shadowed by the dim porch light. I rubbed my eyes and said, "Sorry. I hope you didn't have to wait too long. How much do I owe you?" My voice came out tired and slurred. The man just stood there. He looked a little puzzled at first, not saying a word. I repeated myself, "For the pizzas, how much do I owe you?" That's when it hit me. He wasn't holding any pizza boxes. No delivery bag, no uniform. Nothing that made him look like someone bringing food. He was just wearing dark jeans, a grey hoodie pulled over his head, and his hands were deep in his pockets. He stared at me for a few seconds too long before finally smiling faintly. "Don't worry," he said quietly. "The pizzas are still on the way." Then he stopped talking altogether, just stood there, like that was a completely normal thing to say. Even though I was tired and slightly drunk, something about it made my stomach twist. His answer made no sense. Why would he be here if the food was still coming? But my brain was foggy, and instead of questioning him more, I just nodded awkwardly and said, "Okay." After a few seconds of silence, I slowly closed the door. I stood there for a moment, hand still on the doorknob, trying to make sense of what just happened. It didn't feel right. Something about his behavior. It was strange. But I brushed it off, convincing myself that I was just overthinking it because I was tired. I sat back on the couch, put on another video, and tried to relax again. Eventually, my eyes closed once more. But this time, I woke up to a faint clicking sound. It was subtle, soft, like something being gently moved or locked into place. I sat up slowly, trying to figure out where it was coming from. The TV was still playing, so I knew I hadn't been asleep long. I waited for another sound, maybe a knock or another ring, but there was nothing, just silence. I finally picked up my phone to check the time, and that's when my confusion turned into fear. The screen showed 4:00 a.m. I froze. The pizza shop I'd ordered from closed at 1 a.m. My order had been placed at 11:00. I opened the app again and saw that the order had been delayed for an hour before being cancelled automatically by the restaurant. My heart started racing. If the order was cancelled hours ago, then who was that man at my door? I got up quietly and walked down the hallway to the front door. I peeked through the peephole. Nothing. The street outside was empty and still. I reached for the lock, but before I could turn it, I realized the door was already unlocked. My stomach dropped. I must have forgotten to lock it after answering earlier. I carefully opened the door and looked outside. The air was cold, and the neighborhood was completely quiet. Not a single car passed. I didn't see anyone. I sighed, frustrated and uneasy. Maybe I was imagining things. But as I slowly closed the door again, that same soft clicking noise echoed through the hallway, the sound of the door latch sliding into place. It was the exact sound that woke me earlier. That's when everything hit me at once. The man, the fake pizza excuse, the strange smile. He wasn't a delivery driver. He had just played along with what I said because it gave him a cover. My chest tightened. I glanced around the dark living room, every shadow suddenly feeling alive. My brain screamed at me to get out. I walked as quietly as I could toward the couch to grab my phone. My hands were shaking. Just as my fingers brushed against it, I heard movement from the next room. It was soft at first, like the shuffle of a foot on the floor. Then another sound, something like a faint creak of wood. I didn't even think. I snatched my phone and bolted for the front door. I flung it open and ran down the street barefoot, my breath visible in the cold air. When I got far enough away, I finally called 911, trying to explain everything between shaky breaths. The police showed up within minutes, but it was already too late. Whoever that man was, he was gone. They searched my home, but found no signs of forced entry, just the front door unlocked. I gave them every detail I could remember, what he looked like, what he said, the way he smiled. But without security footage or any proof, there wasn't much they could do. Days later, even after replacing the locks and double-checking every night, I still can't stop thinking about that moment when I realized what was really happening. I replay it over and over, wondering what that man's real plan was. Maybe he was scouting houses, looking for easy targets, people who were home alone, drunk or half asleep. Maybe he thought he could slip in quietly after I passed out again. I'm almost certain he waited outside my door, listening to see if I'd lock it or not. And when I didn't, he must have seen his chance. The thought of what could have happened if I hadn't woken up makes my skin crawl. I was lucky, because that night, in my own home, I came closer to danger than I'll probably ever fully realize.